Now, okay, thanks. I'll leave it to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Andrew Davis. I'm the head of Invest Hong Kong here in the UK. Welcome to our webinar this morning on EdTech in Hong Kong. Just for a couple of housekeeping points, this will be recorded for GDPR purposes, and a copy of the link will be made available afterwards, along with a copy of any presentations. It's a great pleasure to be talking about EdTech here because, as everyone knows, education is a vitally important part of life in Hong Kong. And we've got a great panel with some great ideas and some great background on what is happening in this space in Hong Kong and other parts of Asia at the moment. So without further ado, I would like to ask Fiona to give us a brief introduction from Brussels. Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to join this webinar. Next slide, please. Okay, let me first start my presentation with something more imminent to all of us, is COVID-19. COVID-19 pandemic is a global challenge, but it is also an opportunity to introduce large-scale change. Since the start of the pandemic, it has become a necessity for millions of students from primary school to universities to resort to online learning for more than a year. So we have seen that EdTech business have responded rapidly to meet the growing demand from the educators and parents. I would like to take this opportunity to highlight 3 advantages of Hong Kong, namely promising innovation and technology development, sound financial regime, as well as dynamic education systems and thriving talent pool, which enable Hong Kong to develop as a major hub for EdTech startups. Next slide, please. New EdTech innovations involves the use of different IT tools like virtual reality, augmented reality, or artificial intelligence. In this respect, Hong Kong is an ideal place for EdTech startups to develop their solutions. In the past 3 years, the Hong Kong SAR government allocated over 100 billion Hong Kong dollar to support the development of IT, and the effort is bearing fruit. Hong Kong's performance in respect of IT development has been well recognized internationally. According to the ranking announced by the International Institute for Management Development in 2020, Hong Kong climbed from the 18th place to the 7th on the ranking related to technological infrastructure. As for the ranking related to digital competitiveness, the global ranking of Hong Kong raised it from the 11th to the 5th. Moreover, to encourage R&D investment, qualifying R&D expenditure incurred by by enterprises in Hong Kong can enjoy 2-tier enhanced tax deductions, which are 300% tax deductions for the first 2 million Hong Kong dollar R&D expenditure, and 200% tax deductions for the remaining amounts. The Hong Kong SAR government is also pressing ahead with the development of research cluster in Hong Kong, thereby pulling top-notch researchers over the world to undertake more collaborative research in Hong Kong. I would like to highlight that the Air at Inno Hong Kong is a research cluster for particularly relevance to EdTech, as it focuses on artificial intelligence and robotic technologies. We're also taking forward for the development of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovative and Technology Park, which will become Hong Kong's largest ever IT platform to pull together the world's top-tier enterprises, R&D institutes, and higher education institutions for exchange and collaboration. With Hong Kong's strong R&D capabilities and facilities, world-class universities, with 5 of them ranked among the top 100 in the world, advantage as an international and market-oriented economy, robust legal systems, and intellectual property rights protection regime, Hong Kong is at an excellent opportunity to develop into an international R&D hub. Next slide, please. We know that startups need funding support to develop their innovative ideas. With our well-developed capital market, Hong Kong can play a special role for IT startups in the region. As you know, Hong Kong is an international fundraising hub, attracting investors from all over the world. And Hong Kong IPO market is attractive as a gateway to raise funds from not only international investors, but also investors from mainland China via Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Hong Kong Shenzhen Stock Connect. As a mature capital market with protection for both investors and companies, Hong Kong has abundant financial resources to put behind EdTech to solve problems in education. Next slide, please. The dynamic education systems of Hong Kong enable the city to serve as a launchpad of EdTech products to other Asian markets because Hong Kong has different kinds of schools within the education systems. Hong Kong has local school using 3 different languages as the medium of teaching: English, Cantonese, and Mandarin. While international schools in Hong Kong also follow different curriculums such as IB and GCE. This allows EdTech startups to develop and validate products across many education systems in Hong Kong before promoting them overseas. Hong Kong is also keen to build up a fighting talent pool to support Hong Kong's development into a high value added and diversified economy. To attract highest qualified overseas talents in an effective and focused manner, the Hong Kong SAR government has promulgated a talent list, which currently comprises 11 professions, including IT experts, data scientists, and cybersecurity specialists. Applicants who meet the requirement of the talent list will get higher score for the assessment of the Quality Migrant Admission Scheme, which is an admission scheme for global talents to settle in Hong Kong. On technology talents, there is also a fast-track arrangement through the Technology Talents Admission Scheme for the admissions of overseas and mainland technology talents to undertake R&D work in Hong Kong. Next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, as Asia's remain the fastest growing EdTech market, Hong Kong, with the very strength I just mentioned, is a good base for getting into the Asian and China market. I welcome you to set your foothold in Hong Kong to take the huge EdTech market in the regions. Thank you. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much indeed, Fiona. Now I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Paula, who's going to chair the panel session and introduce our speakers to us. Over to you, Paula.
Thank you, Andrew, and a good morning to everybody, or good afternoon. Our next speaker is Rachel Chan, co-founder of Esperanza. And Rachel has had, or is having at the moment, a very interesting career between consulting, working with and for an NGO and the academic world. Rachel is really passionate about EdTech and equally passionate about bringing the best to Hong Kong. Rachel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paula. Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to represent Esperanza today. We are also a startup. We are an NGO startup established 2 years ago. Next slide, please. What we do, we advocate new ways to learn, to live, and to work with new and global perspectives in the 21st century. Next slide, please. And since our establishment, we've been focusing on a number of things, including helping startups from around the world to scale up, startups that have innovative solutions that can make a major impact on our society. Because like you, we are a startup, we know very well that startups need help in terms of financial, human, and social capital resources. Next slide, please. Since our establishment, we've been working on this theme of reimagining education. Our focus is to find ways and to support startup with innovative and effective solutions to help us to learn and teach more effectively, to equip our next generations with the right skills and mindsets to navigate an increasingly complex and challenging world. You can see on the slide, these are our focus areas. How can we equip our next generation with the right skills to sail through an unpredictable future? How can we use technology and new methods to motivate, inspire, and empower learning? How can we unleash potential of individuals, as we are all different, with different interests, strengths, skills, so that we can have multiple learning pathways? And last but not least, Fiona mentioned COVID. The whole world will not be the same again. COVID has accelerated every aspect of our life. Every organization, whether it's public or private sector company, needs to upskill and reskill their workforce to meet the needs of the digital age. How can we train and retrain a new generation of workforce? These are all our key interest area. Next slide, please. The way we work, we are a small NGO, but we think big, and we believe we can also have a very huge footprint around the world, because the way we work is we partner with like-minded people inside and outside Hong Kong. Today is a perfect example. We have a huge network of like-minded partners, supporting organizations in Hong Kong. We work with volunteers, they provide mentorship, they may provide, some people are funders, family officers, some schools and organizations could be early adopter of some new solutions. And also very important to some of the startups in this forum, we know very well, as a startup, it's very difficult for you to uproot yourself and set up another base outside your home country. But nowadays, business can be run globally, even though you are small. And the way to do it is to find like-minded partners that share similar interests and vision. And this is our role in Esperanza as well. We help you to find local partners in this part of the world, in Hong Kong, in the Greater Bay Area, in China, and even in the rest of Asia. Next slide, please. Because we certainly believe that together we can create and scale up innovative solutions with global significance. Next one, please. Last year, we were very excited and actually very pleased to launch our inaugural version of the Adventures GPA Fellowship Program. And today, we had one of our fellow, Kai, who will speak to you very soon. We have selected 10 fellows. They come from different countries with different kind of EdTech solutions, serving from young kids at the age of 2 or 3 to people in the workforce, as well as people who see the importance of lifelong learning. Next one, please. At the moment, we are working with one of the fellows from Israel. It's a startup with a virtual coding platform as well as an international coding competition to help young children, high school students to acquire coding, STEM, as well as other very important 21st century life skills. So this is an example of how we actually help a startup, not from Hong Kong, but from some other places, to market, to develop their business in this part of the region. We help them to take their product, their solution, their competition to schools in Hong Kong. And we're very excited about this opportunity of bringing new, effective, and fun solutions to our students and our people in Hong Kong, and at the same time creating mutual opportunities for everyone. And after courtesy, next slide, we're also discussing with Kai from Mail Science on how we can introduce mail science to schools in Hong Kong. Kai may tell you a little bit more. We have some crazy ideas, doing some really fun things with our young students in Hong Kong. So we don't just talk, we don't just run competition, give you the floor to pitch. We do real work, we take you to Hong Kong, we take you to the market, we find local partners for you. Next slide, please. So we're now planning the second edition of our Adventures GBA Fellowship Program. And we do it with our very close strategic partner, Cyberport in Hong Kong. Cyberport is one of the major startup ecosystem builders in Hong Kong. And they have their own very good network of facilities, investors, partners that you can plug into. Next slide, please. And we're now planning actively on our event in this November. We are targeting growth stage EdTech startups who are ready and interested to go global and using Hong Kong as your global launchpad. Next one. Of course, we can't target the whole world, although we say we are global. This year, we have some geographical focuses. You can see 6 circles, and 3 of them are in Europe. So you guys are definitely our target areas. So what are we going to do? Next one. We plan to invite from each of the hotbeds 3 growth stage EdTech startups to present at our virtual Adventures GBA Summit at the Cyberport Venture Capital Forum this November. For this year, one of our key focus will be on workplace and lifelong learning, in addition to K-12 and tertiary education. Of the 18 startups that will be invited to present at our event, we will select by popular voting 6 most popular startups. And these 6 startups will have the opportunities to meet Hong Kong's investors, present your solution at some other occasions, including our biggest annual Learning and Teaching Expo in December, presenting your solutions to our talent development professionals, and also work with Esperanza and our network of partners in introducing your solutions to Hong Kong, like what we are doing now with an Israeli startup and with Kai with Mail Science. So we probably will start our nominations in August. And we will work through major EdTech VCs in each region. We'll also work with EdTech accelerators. But of course, if you are non-affiliated to any of these organizations, feel free also to reach out to Invest Hong Kong offices or directly email us to express your interest to join this exciting occasion that will bring you a lot of opportunities in this part of the world. So that's all I have. The last slide is stay in touch with us. If you can turn to the last slide, we have regular news coming from us on either our Facebook or LinkedIn platform. So stay tuned. Thank you. Now I'll hand over back to Paula.
Thank you, Rachel. And thanks very much for explaining that it's not only the competition, but you actively and help startups and you help them in a practical way. So I think because that is a question that we get a lot, and that's what startups and other ambitious companies are looking for. So thank you for that. Okay, over to our next speaker, and that is Rebecca Merritt, the Managing Director of OEP, the Online Education Partnership Asia. And Rebecca will take us on a bit of a pan-Asia trip, highlighting the importance of online education and EdTech. Rebecca, over to you whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca, and I would like to talk today about a very sort of practical side of setting up a business in Hong Kong and where the opportunities are. You'll hear from our other speakers a lot more about the software side and the sort of cutting edge technology. Our business is more of a sort of bricks and mortar education business, but the role of education is incredibly important to us and to our clients. So can I have the first slide, please? In a nutshell, thank you. So I won't talk a great deal about what we do, but in a nutshell, we advise schools, investors, and developers on how to set up schools predominantly in Hong Kong and mainland China, and a little bit in Southeast Asia as well. So we can be approached by, for example, a UK school or an American school that wants to set up in Asia, and we'll help them to find partners. We'll work on their curriculum development, the design of the school, the financial modeling, every aspect from the idea through to opening a school. We use our knowledge of the market here, which is a very sophisticated education market. It has a very strong local and international market for students. And we offer really practical advice. Now, where the technology comes in is really in two ways. So we work both with the school management softwares. Now, this is something that's really taken off in the last 10 years. And from our experience, we are doing it incredibly well here in Hong Kong. I think because education is such a service industry, the schools here recognize they need to have the best possible service for their parents. So when you are a parent coming to a school, you will probably have a very sophisticated app. You'll have a school management system that allows you to review your child's timetable, their grades, their homework, their buses, to make payments online, to share photos online. So that side, that school management system is very important to schools here. So we advise on which kinds to use. And the other side that we do is that a lot of these schools are coming into Asia and they want to understand how to put a much higher level of innovation and technology into the curriculum. Particularly where we are here in Hong Kong and with the Greater Bay Area, just to the north of us, it is an incredibly high-tech area. And so what businesses here are looking for is graduates of schools that have a really strong knowledge of innovation and technology. So we advise schools as well on how to inject that into their curriculum. Next slide. For me, the purpose of this call today is for you, the listeners, to have maybe some first-hand experiences from all of us, the panelists today, on why Hong Kong is a good place for us to do business. Now, I think I'm almost a Hong Konger anyway. I've now been here 20 years, but it remains for me one of the best places in the world to do business as a small company like we are. In simple terms, the location, where we are here in Hong Kong, it is insanely convenient. I am not given to hyperbole, but everything about travel in Hong Kong is convenient. Whether I'm traveling from my office to my home, from my office to somebody else's office within Hong Kong, whether I'm traveling up to China to see our clients there, or whether I'm traveling a little bit further afield in Southeast Asia. Not only are my clients easy to get to, but so are our vendors. So when we want to work with a software supplier in one of our schools, they invariably have somebody in Hong Kong. they'll have somebody from their sales team in Hong Kong in this time zone so that we can connect with them really easily. So in simple terms, it means that we don't waste time getting to meetings or meeting clients, and we don't waste time of the day dealing with different time zones. I mean, here in Hong Kong, we've all worked with clients in Europe and in North America. And what we don't want to do is lose a day. So having the software developers that we work with based in Hong Kong means that we can talk to them immediately. Secondly, and Invest Hong Kong have touched on this, talent. Yeah. When you're running a business, you have to find good people for your team. And you can have nowhere better than Hong Kong for colleagues who are multilingual, often speaking English, Cantonese, and Mandarin, and often speaking other languages as well. I mean, they put us to shame. They put me to shame as a Brit. They're multilingual, incredibly hardworking. I mean, it's not really a place to talk about sort of work-life balance because we just work a lot. But when you're running a business, that's a great thing. And of course, educated. They're educated to the level that we need for our business. So if I want to find somebody that has a good technology knowledge, I can find them here. If I want somebody that has a good customer service knowledge, I find them here. So, I mean, really, we've never had problems finding people to employ, or as Rachel was talking about, finding other small companies to partner with. You know, we can have a small company that suddenly becomes very big with the right talent. I'll go to point 4 because we're talking about technology. Having reliable Wi-Fi. You know, this is not high tech, but I go to a lot of places where that is not a given. So the fact that we have that reliability of the technology here, that we have communication, easy communication with our suppliers and our clients is invaluable to what we do. And finally, I'll go back to lifestyle. If you are looking to set up a business in Hong Kong, then you're either looking to move here yourself, to travel here frequently yourself, or to bring colleagues of yours here. And you know, it's just incredibly important that you bring people to a place that has a great level of education, healthcare, has a fabulous international community, and is safe. I always use the example of my family, and I have children who can easily move around Hong Kong independently by themselves. My 11-year-old will take the local metro, she'll take the buses, she'll go to school by herself, she'll come home by herself. So when I have people wanting to move to Hong Kong, I say hand on heart, it's a great place to live. Next slide. Wow.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Oh, Paula.
We had multiple device challenges. That's technology for you, but multiple device challenges sorted.
Okay, what's the situation, Paula?
The situation is, feel free to continue.
Okay, so that's fine. I'll just start again right here. Yes. Or nope. Okay. I'll move on quickly from this, but I just want to give you an example of what we do here. These are all international schools that we work with. They are a world-class quality. They're based in Hong Kong, in China, and across Southeast Asia. So these are schools where we've gone in and we've advised on the school management software that they use, and we've advised on introducing more science and technology into their curriculum. Next slide. I'll go to the next slide. Oh. Okay. I'll take it through to the last slide and I'll wrap up. Okay. So what I want to talk about is specific opportunities that have arisen, before I close, specific opportunities that have arisen in the last year because of where we are with COVID. Now, previously, if you had asked me 18 months ago, we were doing most of our business in China. Now, what's happened now is that we can't travel up to China easily, not as easy. So we've been focusing a lot more on our business in Hong Kong. But where we found clients was American companies and European companies that were looking at Asia and seeing that Asia was starting to come out of COVID, was starting to get on top of COVID, and they wanted to make acquisitions here. So we got involved with those companies, an American company and a European company, and we helped them to buy schools, and we helped them to introduce the technology into those schools that was needed or required by the Hong Kong and international families living in Hong Kong. So while COVID has been incredibly challenging for us all, it's actually given us these opportunities to help clients from Europe and from America to come into Hong Kong and set up new schools. So I'm going to finish up there, but if I can take any questions later on, just on the education market here and where your technology might move into those schools, then I'd be happy to do so. Thank you all.
Thanks, Rebecca. And apologies for the multiple tech hiccups.
It was fine from my side. I just carried on talking, you know.
Which is fantastic.
I'd like to think I was really interesting in the part that nobody else heard.
Well, everybody heard everything, and I think that one thing is that we can all learn from you. That is the wisdom: never waste a good crisis. Right? It seems that COVID-19, with all the challenges, actually also has brought some good, which is great to hear. And
yes. I mean, you know, none of us want COVID to last, but yes, we have, in true Hong Kong style, we've seen where those opportunities are, and we've jumped into them. Yes.
Well,
thank you.
Great. I hope that everybody, please write down your question, because in the Q&A you'll be asked to ask your question live, to use the little hand button at the bottom of your screen. So keep those questions. Rebecca is willing, keen, and eager to answer them all. Then we go to the next speaker, and that's Kai Liang from Mel Science. Kai, we're all aware of the worldwide stress on STEM and science education. And from what I understand, Mel Science is not only making it fun to learn science, but also your methodology seems to be highly effective. So tell us all about it.
Thank you, Paula. Can you all hear from me, please? Perfect. Okay. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Rachel and Esperanza, and we have received a lot of fantastic support and ongoing advice from Esperanza, and that's also part of the reason why I'm here. So first of all, a very good morning from London. I'm Kai Liang, representing Mount Science. We are a team of creators and innovators on science education at K-12 level, and indeed to extend this to lifelong learning. Next slide, please. So before I dive into Mount Science, I want to just remind us a little bit about why we are doing education at all. It's somewhat to prepare our children for the future. And the future is a little bit scary, but also very exciting, because we're looking at creator economy, we're looking at AI, longevity, mixed reality, cloud lifestyle, not to mention the post-COVID changes and all these things. So the world as we know it is actually changing. So the big question is that, are we equipping our children with the right critical thinking, creativity, cooperation, and the ability to understand the user tools of today, and also emotional intelligence to be able to deal with the future. And so that is a little bit in the background of why we do math science. Next slide, please. And here, I also want to draw an example of a school that I'll be talking with tomorrow. That is Agora School. So this is a school with no classes and no classrooms and no curriculum, but yet they're able to guide students between 12 and 18 years old to actually take on projects on their own and to explore. So in the world going to the future with micro-learning, this might be an interesting model for us to think about. Next slide, please. And Agora School and everything I talked so far, hopefully will remind us as busy entrepreneurs and parents about the challenge we face. And that is somehow to actually grab more attention from our children while spare time from our crazy lifestyle. And also compounded by the challenge that there's just so much more technology involved today and tomorrow. So our children need to learn more things. Therefore, they need to learn things more efficient. And not to mention the fact that science and technology is now a great contributor for the GDP in many countries. For example, the exciting startups like Tesla and SpaceX, and not to mention the new launch from Apple yesterday. So our world is going to be more and more driven by innovation of technology. So what are we doing? What are we doing to actually help our children to learn more science and technology? Next slide, please. So this is our approach. Our unique approach is that we turn to a subscription model of service. Every month, we bring a fantastically well-designed set of science experiments to parents and kids, so you can do it anywhere you want. And we will support the learning by innovative virtual reality lesson to explain to you what is happening in the microchemistry world that created all this magic that all this interesting experiment is demonstrating. Next slide, please. And I just want to mention a little bit of virtual reality engine. Actually, it's modeled, it's built on a chemical quantum level simulation engine. So we're effectively simulate everything happening on the subatomic level and sum it up to eventually greater molecule. So we can do a lot in the future to actually model what's happening in the organic chemistry world. But this is a very innovative technology, and we're still perfecting it. But so far, we've managed to create a lot of lessons, and we will make creating future lessons much easier as well because we have this engine. So this is a very interesting part of our unique selling point in terms of technology. Next slide, please. So the market for science technology, we estimate, is actually quite big. And for US market is still our #1 market. And worldwide, we estimate to be 3 times the US market. So we're here to serve a lot of people. Today, we are serving about 60 plus countries as listed on the right-hand side of this page. Next slide, please. And this is the team, the core team in math science. I think I want to start by mentioning our founder and CEO, Vasily Filippov, doctor. He actually did have 2 exits of high-quality software company before. So that partly is why all the software created by math science is brilliant. Please feel free to download Math Chemistry, Math Kids, Math Physics, and Math VR. They're all available in the app stores. And myself, I used to be the winner of a biology Olympiad in China. I just want to say that out of the 20 scientists behind creating all this content in math science, at least 4 used to be the country winner or international gold medalist of Olympic science competition when we were young. And now these people actually grow up to be science PhDs with published book. So we love science from the core. And next slide, please. So we have gained a lot of traction, both on B2B market and B2C market. And for B2B market, I want to mention that we managed to sign successful partnership with lots of telecoms. And we're working with Rachel and Esperanza, so hopefully to develop more partners in Hong Kong. So not only we can deliver more content, but we can also co-create a lot more content. Next slide, please. And in addition to deliver all these fantastic content, we also want to measure the learning outcome. So we use our software to track a lot of data, but we don't track data on user. But we like to work with schools so that we can measure the effect on kids, and also the kind of like how they find the content. Is it too difficult? Is it too easy? And what is the learning result? And we also working with a lot of foundation around the world. And we published a research paper, which we hope to do more with the wonderful education communities in Hong Kong. So the research element for us is something that we can do on the continuous basis, so that we can leave a lot of useful legacy for other education companies to actually chime in. Next slide, please. And further, I just want to say that we have had some recognition, both from various scientific press around the world and also from the investor community. So about 4 months ago, we closed the $40 million round B funding that actually included the investor from China. And we're working with Esperanza to talk with more investors to warm up for round C, which is the next stage. And another figure I want to say that we create a lot of original videos or DIY science content. We don't charge anything for that at all. In fact, 95% of the content created by Mount Science is available free of charge. So we have a bit of like a social media, well, the social enterprise element of the company. And our science videos has been watched more than 1 billion times today already. Feel free to come to Facebook. You can enjoy a lot of this video free of charge. Next slide, please. And in addition to that, we've managed to get to be recognized in BET as the Innovator of the Year, and our VR and AR content has been recognized by EdTech Cool 2 Award in US, as well as the kind of VR award globally. And we're also a proud winner of the education solution with highest potential impact of the EdVentures GBA Fellowship, the first edition of it. And interestingly, we're also voted by Amazon to be the best subscription boxes in time for Valentine's Day. So I thought that's quite interesting. Next slide, please. And I think this is the last slide. So in the future growth, we are hoping to work with Adventure GBA Fellowship so that we can develop that kind of like a regional partnership network, as well as manufacture past round B investment, so that we can engage with more education expertise in Hong Kong. We can develop more research projects. We can run some interesting inclusive science competition, and then that can hopefully on one direction to actually extend to Southeast Asia, on the north direction to extend to the rest of mainland China. And that's all from me. And I set a timer for, I hope that's enough for the 10 minutes, but I welcome any questions and engagement. Please try us out as well. Thank you. Back to you, Paula.
Thank you, Kai, and thank you for setting that timer. You've been fantastically spot on time. Good to see in your last slides that you're actually now working on the Hong Kong Beijing setup. So happy to hear that, and look forward to hearing more from Mel Science. I look
forward to be there after as soon as we can travel. I'm actually taking the first jab of vaccine later today, so wish me luck.
Okay, so you're one step closer to traveling. That's good. That's excellent.
Thank you.
That brings us to our last speaker, and that is Jan Getscherski of EMIS, one of the co-founders of EMIS. I think Jan is speaking to us from Shenzhen. Jan, I hope I pronounced your name properly, and the floor to you.
It was very close. Actually, my name is Jan Kędzierski, so it's a Polish name, so that's why it's sometimes difficult to pronounce, but it's totally fine. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you for giving us a chance to talk about our solution. That is the teaching English solution for very young kids. We are starting from kids where they are 3 years old. Next slide, please. Yeah, please forgive me. I'm a big fan of Star Wars. So 1977, 2015 and everything what happened between, it was already predicted that all young heroes, let's say like that, they will have an intelligent companion that will be accompany them in their education time. Next slide, please. And as a startup company, we notice a big chance for us that there's the teaching English market. It is huge. It is flooded by a lot of different methods, tools, and it's dominated by China. That actually nowadays means a lot. And of course, this is a very lucrative market, but unfortunately also very closed market, and it's still very conservative and struggling with a lot of problems. Next slide, please. And the problem is that, there is not enough teachers. There is not enough native teachers in the market. There is not enough good teachers at all. And of course, it's really hard to immerse kids in the engaging, attractive English environment at that stage. Next slide, please. And yeah, of course, we still have a great teachers full of ideas. We can find them, but the problem is that they are working in a, they are immersed in the education system that is usually controlled by the government, by the local environment. And it's really hard for them sometimes to change something. And of course, on the other side, we have parents that their expectations are extremely high. They're pushing kids sometimes too much. And sometimes they just don't know that might be the different way to teach. So please, next slide. And how it looks like at home. So yeah, now I'm going to make everyone feel guilty a little bit, including me. The smartphones, computers, tablets, VR, AR, all those technologies are great. We should keep developing them. We should keep working on them. But we should a little bit slow down and figure out which of them are the right technologies for young kids. Because as probably everyone already noticed, kids are spending a lot of time in front of those kind of devices. And it is fine, but the problem is they are spending like sometimes even half a day. So 3 years old, 4 years old kids with this kind of way of spending time, it's really make them not healthy. It's like the digital drug for them. Next slide, please. And this is our answer. That's the robot MS. That is actually the part of the whole solution. This is the guy who I had in mind with my first slide. Please, next slide. So he is a physical. He can move. It's a real embodiment that kids can interact with. He can speak, he can listen, he can generate emotion and build emotional bond with the kids. It's like the teddy bear, but with the latest technology in it. So the robot is communicating with kids in a very natural way. And that is also important. This solution is working totally offline. Next slide, please. So with our solution, we can immerse kids in the natural English environment, and of course, to increase the efficiency of teaching, we can make them learn by themselves. That is crucial in learning process. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, robot is not the only, it's just the part of. Together with the robot, we are providing a lot of physical items like the plush toys, flashcards, plastic items. All of them are equipped with the chip inside that, thanks to them, robot can easily recognize them and interact and provide some answers, information to kids back. Next slide, please. And all those learning sets that comes together with the robot, they are developed by the great expertise from Europe, especially from UK. So we provide the learning sets related to the topic, so kids can extend their sets with new items every some time. Next slide, please. So how it works, the robot is providing some games to kids. Of course, we still have a screen with our robot, but the main communication channel is of course the robot face. So this screen most of the time is black and it's off, but it's providing the games and tasks for kids that kids have to solve together with the robots. Moreover, the robot is not teaching only, of course, everything is happening in English, but the robot is teaching also the daily habits, like he's teaching kids how to dress up, how to prepare a smoothie, how to even wash him from time to time. Please, next slide. And our solution also comes with the extended set that is dedicated to schools and to kindergartens. So we are providing the teachers' books, also parents' books, exercise book for kids. So actually, when kindergarten buy our solution, they don't need the super great teacher. Of course, it's good to have the great teachers, but the problem is teachers it's always a lack of teachers. So together with our robot, we just need one person who will manage the class, who will manage the kids during the English class, and the robot is actually providing the perfect pronunciation and perfect English class in the kindergarten. Next slide, please. And of course, it is already proven that social robots can be effective in teaching. There's a lot of research about it. Yeah, maybe I don't have time to talk. Next slide, please. So from the top to bottom, with our solution, everyone can benefit. The local government, the schools, the teachers, they finally have a support. The schools finally don't have to worry too much about the rotation in their staff, and also parents can see how the kids can learn English in the proper way using the latest technology. And of course, at the end, kids. Next slide, please. Everything that we prepared with robot, it's still under the development. So, and also everything what we are working on is a trend in the way of teaching at the early stage. So our solution is answer all those nowadays known requirements for effective teaching. Next slide, please. So we are the startup. We started actually 2 years ago, the development phase. Currently, more than 30,000 kids already experience MS at home. Next slide, please. Also in the kindergarten and education centers in Europe, as well in China, in some provinces, also here in Shenzhen. Next slide, please. And this is one of our latest services that we are providing also to decrease the entry fee for C customers. They can rent a robot, and we are providing together with the robot the special support. There are online classes that parents can learn from our expertise, how to use the robot, how to interact with kids, and how to spend time together. Next slide, please. I think is the last one. Yeah, thank you so much. Very welcome for the questions. It's very helpful for the all cooperation that with the people who I met during this webinar. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jan, for that enthusiastic story. I have to tell you, a pity that I'm no longer a kid needing to learn English, because I think it would have been a lot of fun with this cute robot that you have.
Definitely.
And I guess the others in the audience also have questions. This is the moment that we open the floor to questions. So can I suggest to all participants to use the little hand function, click it, then we see that you have a question and we can open your mic. Anybody at this moment with a question it can be for all of the speakers, right? For Rachel, for Rebecca, for Kai, or for Jan. I see no questions so far. So then a question that I would like to ask Rachel. Rachel, in your experience, you've been scanning the world for the best and the most exciting developments in EdTech, right? Would you say that EdTech is equally relevant in all types of education? Like if we go from primary, secondary, vocational training to university, or are there differences?
Yeah, definitely. EdTech is everywhere. And actually the opportunities, if you're talking about China, is even greater and maybe easier in terms of vocational training and adult learning, because there are less kind of regulatory restrictions in these areas. And I would even go one step further to say that education and EdTech should be in every industry. Think about it, we are all in the business of education, whether you are running a coffee shop, you are selling a new gadget, we are all in a way trying to teach our customers something new, right? So
is the continuous learning idea, right?
Exactly. And even, Invest Hong Kong, you are telling people every day, you are trying to tell them what actually are the benefits of running your business in Hong Kong as a global business hub. So I think increasingly, since learning has become more important, since technology has become an indispensable part of our life, EdTech will become more and more important as an industry. That's my view.
Okay, no, thank you. Thank you for that answer. Now we have a few courageous people in the audience. I see Gordian at ODE Meaningful Decisions. Lisa, could you open the mic for...
Yes, I'm in.
Okay, please state your name and your question and to whom the question is.
Yes. So actually, thanks, Paula, for having this amazing round of people giving information. So my question is actually to Rachel, but a little bit to everybody, because we are dealing with decision-making training. We created an app to really foster the participation and the self-determination of people, of individuals. And with this, we actually kind of built in what Rachel said in long-term and long life living. And our idea is to really create this agentically approach of students. So because there is this row of what Kai and Jan already said, you have to really kind of catch the individual to give them information, and the information is always based on their own input and effort and engagement. And that's basically the question. So as you might know, there's a lot of stereotypes about education all around the world, and the Asian stereotype is like really extremely focused learning. And so how is the development in this area to really kind of like open up and give the opportunities to become an explorative, but not in terms of STEM explorative, but life explorative learner, to create the innovation that everybody is looking for. So because knowing about science is not making you innovative. The innovation power is created with the self-determination and leading the actual path that is given to you. And that's basically what we are on the edge we are working on. And that's what I'm really interested in. How do you see the potentials and the necessities? And by the way, Kai, I love your background.
Thank you. Thank you. I learned my lesson yesterday from Andrew.
Maybe Rachel, you want to react to this question?
Yes, I'd love to learn more about what you're doing. It sounds very exciting, and I believe this is a very important area that all of us should learn and should not stop, after schools or universities. It's a lifelong learning process, and especially now we are all inundated with so much information on an everyday basis, and some are fake news, or some are biased. How can we make decision in the wave of information? Can technology help? This is a very intriguing area, I would say.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I see that Franz Rösler also would like, oh, Rebecca, did you want to add more? Please unmute yourself for a second.
Rebecca, you are unmuted.
Rebecca, you have to unmute yourself.
Gotcha, sorry about that. So one of the challenges that we find, and I'd open this to panelists and potential listeners, is that we work with, traditional schools predominantly. And they know that they want to have more STEM, more innovation, more technology in their curriculum. They know it's the right way to go, but they are bound by the curricula of the school that they are working with. So that might be typically the English National Curriculum, IPC, now obviously the IB diploma from primary years program, middle years program, and then the DP, the diploma program. And so these schools are trying to think, how do we inject that in, but still meet the criteria of the exams that you need to take? And it's a really interesting area. And what we've seen here in southern China, and I talk about the Greater Bay Area because that's what I know, what we see is that the schools that are really dynamic about it, and it is being led by the Americans at the moment, well, the Chinese and the Americans, that they actually go off curriculum completely. So, and then they offer a project-based technology maker solution sort of school leaving certificate. But it's, at the moment, it is a tiny, tiny minority. And everything that is really in the high level field of innovation that we're seeing, and is still outside the school. So it's an extracurricular activity, and that needs to change. We need to be talking to the providers of the traditional curricula and helping them to inject more of this kind of technology into the curriculum that is being taught in school.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that answers it. So that's help me to help them. I get a lot of these traditional schools say we want more technology, but then they say, but we've got to follow the curriculum that's written down on a piece of paper. So we'll do it as an extracurricular, not in the curriculum.
Right. Thanks to both Rachel and Rebecca for their views on this. I would like to go to Franz Rösler, who has raised his hand, and I also saw he wrote the question. But Franz, nicer if you ask your questions in person. The floor is yours.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Great webinar. And I also would like to go back to school, especially also the background of KA I like a lot. Good timing also for Austria. We just have a new EdTech Austria initiative, and I'm very interested, hopefully, that I could also bring some Austrian startups from this field to Hong Kong. So mostly, Rachel, this would be a question for you. I saw some circles, some priority areas, I think that what you have in Europe. Hopefully, it also includes this German-speaking environment, including Austria. And then how is this November thing really going to take place? Would startups be expected to travel to Hong Kong? Who knows if that's going to be possible, or would it also allow a virtual presentation? But I think several European EdTech startups for sure would be very, very interested to participate at this November event.
Thank you, Frank. Excited to hear about your new initiative in Austria. I have a really good friend living in Vienna. So you really give me an opportunity maybe to visit you and visit my friend.
And Salzburg is close enough. That's where the initiative is located. So Salzburg, Vienna, very close.
I see. Okay. To answer your question, we are planning still a virtual event, especially with friends from outside Hong Kong. Probably traveling could still be a challenge this year. So it will be a virtual event. Like last year. But hopefully after the virtual presentation, if we manage to connect the business opportunities with potential partners, then there could be traveling opportunities next year. Obviously, we welcome all EdTech startups that have an interest in developing their market in China and in Asia with Hong Kong as the hub. The hotbeds are just our convenient boxes, but one thing, the 101 of education and also of innovation is don't think inside the boxes. So we definitely welcome, so long as you are good enough and you are interested enough in what we're doing. So stay tuned. I will send in the chat box again, the contact email address, and you can either email me or you can also contact your respective Invest Hong Kong office to get in touch before we formally announce this, probably in August.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, for everybody, we will be sharing the presentations that you've seen today with everybody who signed up, right? And all panelists, all speakers have put their contact data, right? So you'll have all the tools to reach out. Do we have another question from the audience? At the moment, the audience is quiet, digesting the answers. Then I actually have a question that I would like to ask to both Kai and Jan. You're both from Europe and trying to make a mark in Asia at the moment, right? Have you seen different reactions from potential clients in Europe versus Hong Kong and mainland China to your solution? Just interested to see if there's any observations from your side. Jan, maybe you first. I see you have an answer in you.
Yeah, thank you for this question. Actually, yes, it's even the only common thing that is on both those markets. We have kids.
Yeah,
we have kids in Europe and we have kids in Asia. But if we are talking about the particular Chinese market, it's like the totally different planet. So whatever you want to do in education, probably Rebecca will agree with me, whatever you want to do, you have to change your mindset. You have to understand first parents' need and what is the parents' approach to education. And then you can start talking about what would you like to sell them, what would you like to introduce on this market. So it's totally different. My co-founder is always complaining that actually we are doing 4 different products. The teaching solution for home users, for schools in Europe, and home users and schools in China. So it's true. So there's a lot of differences. I could speak hours and hours what those differences are, but generally the education in China is something extremely important and parents care a lot. And yeah, that's the main difference.
So you mean that you would say that the Chinese parents are like almost more keen on your robot than what you see in Europe, or in a different way?
The approach to the teaching methods, like Chinese, the methods in school in China are much more conservative than in Europe. So one of the most important things for parents in China is the score from the tests. Parents in Europe, they more worry about what really what really kids learn. But here it's like always about the scores, because the score that they get in the primary school had an impact on their middle school, and the score from the middle school, the impact on high school, and so on and so on. So they are actually thinking about the education when the mummies are pregnant. So the whole story begins at that time. So it's totally different. They even sometimes at that time they are changing their apartments to move to another district just to be closer to the better school. So it is crazy.
Okay, Kai, I see you nodding. You recognize that? Your experience, please.
Yeah, obviously I was born in Beijing and came to UK at the age of 17. I'm all too familiar with what Jan just said, and I think the education scope in Asia generally is very, very selective and very competitive. Simply from the fact that the outstanding educational resources is at a very small limit compared with a large pool of people who require it. That is why education technology is very important to helpfully to democratize it and to make outstanding education content and make good teachers more accessible to the community, to the needed by and large. I think it's also correct to say that still today, the Chinese education and the Asian education in general is still very selective, very exam-based, and but I think we're beginning to see that we're beginning to see the change. First of all, somebody who came through the system, I just felt that, to be honest, education syllabus is too easy. And so a lot of people, majority of the students in this classroom, we have at least 50 people in one classroom in China, just super bored of education because they get it already. But of course, the pace of study has to be tuned down to the kind of slower part of the class. And I think it's important to say that, yes, on one hand, we have to look after all the students, but on the other hand, we need to utilize technology and micro-learning and also artificial intelligence and freedom and a more flexible system to cater for everybody so that kids can all feel being looked after and being stimulated in education. So in a way, that is why we created the Mao Science as a way to actually teach science. Of course, I often get asked the question that, is this part of the syllabus? I honestly told them that, look, syllabus is too easy. If you want your child to be equipped for the future, to be competitive, to be knowledgeable, to be confident, you got to go beyond syllabus. And that works, number one. Number two, it's important to create an exit. So what do I mean by exit is that when parents spend money on education solution, that's called entrance. But Asian parents would want clearly defined exit. That is, as Yan said, better exam score, and which take them further. So that is why I'm working with Rachel and Esperanza so that we can create a very unique kind of science competition. Yes, many people in Mao Science, we used to be like country winner of science biology, science Olympiad. This helped us, but science Olympiad only cater for the cream of people in the school. It doesn't really serve. It doesn't serve the education community by in general. And we want the science competition to be more inclusive, so everybody can join in and to join the creation, to join the learning, to join the sharing of science learning. And I believe sincerely from my practice that school these days and school in the future, more and more is going to look for that soft skill. So it's important to actually, because we're entrepreneurs, we need to stay ahead of the market. We need to catch the next trend, because if you want to serve the market need as today, there are lots of big guys in China. God, I mean, China is full of 8 million pounds super heavyweight gorillas who totally occupy the market. That is why the central government in China is applying control. But it's important for us to really cater for the growing niche, where it's going, so that we can create, I mean, Yan, I like the creation of your content. We create the content, the kind of content that cater not only for the learning side, but also cater for the soft skills, cater for the creative side. And that, hopefully, in combination with some innovative science competition, so it's more inclusive, which helps that, can create this exit. So we need to, so that we can have answer for the parents, and in the meantime, make the kids happy and actually help them to perform well in schools and in the future. And last but not least, it's for all of us. Well, we are lifelong learners. Gosh, I mean, I face all this future technology. I'm scared. Still today, I cannot explain NFT. Can anybody explain NFT, blockchain? Can anybody explain BitCloud? But we're going that way. You know, it's like a company like MicroStrategy is IPO their business with blockchain. I used to work for MicroStrategy. That's how scary it is. So we need that lifelong learning a solution as well, which I hope to work with people in Hong Kong, work with this innovative startup community, so that we can create that together, so that we can stay ahead and enjoy it. Thank you for the wonderful question, Paula.
A pleasure, Kai. One last question, I think also for both of you, and maybe Rachel and Rebecca also want to chip in. Jan, you're in Shenzhen. How has this whole Greater Bay Area concept, has that played a role in settling in Shenzhen? Do you see that beneficial in growing your business? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So first of all, we are developing product for two completely different markets. So of course, it's super challenging, a lot of obstacles in front of us. Maybe some of them are too hard to skip, to jump on. But from the other side, if we can fit the product in those two markets, it means that we can sell our solution everywhere. I'm always kidding. If you can sell something in China, it means we can sell stuff in every planet. So that's the first thing. So, and also being here in GBA, for me personally, it helps me to see much more, because we can observe the whole world, how it's changing, how the technologies are developing from the top. So this is really great, and this is exciting for me. And another thing is having the branches in Europe and also here. It makes our company very efficient. It means that the methodology and the content we are creating mostly in Europe, we are supporting them from here, from Shenzhen. But everything that is related to the R&D in technology, we are doing here. So we can squeeze the best from this kind of cooperation. So for the hardware company, for a company like us, it's like the must, this kind of setting.
Okay, Rebecca, how does the GBA, or I know you're also active in Southeast Asia, but how does the GBA influence your work? You have to unmute yourself, maybe. A little.
Sorry.
Yes, there you are.
Yeah, we spent a fair amount of time going up and down to Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Foshan predominantly, with working with the schools that we're setting up there. And these are schools that they base themselves in Shenzhen, predominantly Shenzhen, because they want to roll out more innovative curricula. So there's a couple of large American schools now that started with kindergarten, and they used a lot of technology, a lot of STEM products for little ones. And then actually they're now opening the end of school. So rather than having A levels or IB diploma, they are offering these project-based learning, which is entirely based around technology. So they are really interesting projects for us. One of the areas where they struggle is in teacher recruitment, because simply the technology is so advanced. And if you're coming through a teacher training program and you're suddenly with 15 to 17-year-olds, I mean, 15 to 17-year-olds know more about technology than most of us. So these schools, one of the biggest challenges for them where we do work with them is in finding the right kind of teachers. And we move away from the word teachers. You can have other experts that come in and help them with that kind of learning. So yeah, so we go up and down a lot. It's been made a lot easier with the high-speed rail. So depending on where we're going in the Greater Bay Area, if we go up to Foshan or Guangzhou West, we'll go up to the Guangzhou-Nan high-speed rail, which is a very easy ride up. So, and of course, a great metro all around Shenzhen. So for us, we go up and down. We see a couple of clients in a day, and then pop back to Hong Kong at the end of the day.
Okay, Rachel, anything you want to add about
yes.
the importance of GBA also for your your competition had GBA in its name,
Yes,
right? So
yeah. Nowadays we can't really talk about market opportunities without mentioning GBA. To many people, actually, GBA is the Silicon Valley in Asia. It's the Silicon Valley. It is a very prosperous region of China with a very high GDP. The most prosperous cities that Becky mentioned, Foshan, Dongguan, Guangzhou. One of the unique characteristics of the China EdTech market is a B2C market. A lot of EdTech startups actually they do business directly with the parents, and the parents in China, they are willing to spend a lot of money in educating their children with good quality education. And GBA is also not just about the market, it's also about the supply chain. The hardware facilities, the prototyping facilities, the R&D, the talents from all around China. Very exciting, and also GBA being close to Hong Kong obviously also has the added advantage of being a very cosmopolitan part of China as well. So we definitely encourage startups from around the world. If you are interested in China, use Hong Kong and the GBA as really your entry point. You will be amazed by the developments there.
Rachel, I think that is a beautiful last sentence to close off our Q&A. Thank you so much. And then I and thanks once more to the four of you, Rachel, Rebecca, Kai, and Jan. It was great having you. And I hand over to my colleague Wing for some closing words.
Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you very much to all the exciting speakers today. I've learned a lot. And COVID-19 has posed tremendous challenges also, and I'm based here in Berlin, and my children are in distance learning, and I see what challenges it poses to families and the children. But I would like to close on this optimistic note that we see so much innovation now going on in EdTech, and I've learned a lot about that learning in a digital world is really approaching very fast. And I see also a combination of traditional schools like what Rebecca has mentioned, together with the digitization mentioned by Kai and Jan. And what I think is so wonderful is that we have people in Hong Kong like Rachel who help those companies and startups to build and integrate these systems into schools and propel the innovation and the necessary innovation needed for our next generation. So, and I think that, and I'm very happy to learn that Hong Kong is the ideal platform for startups and businesses, also in the education sector. And this just shows the breadth and the width of Hong Kong, and in combination with the Greater Bay Area, what kind of opportunities companies and startups from all around the world can benefit from. And this is really an exciting time, and I hope that we will be able to travel back to Hong Kong very soon. And I encourage everyone to contact the four speakers, or contact us here in Europe or in any of the 30 offices around the world of Invest Hong Kong. So Paula is based in Brussels, Andrew is based in London, and I'm based in Berlin. So we are all here to support you, to help you, to find your right partners in Hong Kong and to set up an office in Hong Kong. And we're very excited about the future. Thank you very much for all participation, for all participants, for all guests, and especially to all speakers. And I hope to see you guys soon again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
for
Bye
organizing.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank